Hey guys, I think I'm live. Sorry, my connection seemed a little wonky. So, my name, of course, is Dr. Julie Two Moon, and it is a pleasure for me to be here with you on this beautiful day. And I wanted to jump in here real quick and have a little conversation about what it means to kind of protect your energy. Because what I find is that so many of us are wearing ourselves thin really quickly. And a lot of people wonder, well, how is that happening? Because I don't feel like I'm living this really stressful life. And that is such a great question because I do think it's very true that many of us have sadly become so adapted to the pace of this Western life that we honestly don't perceive our life to be very stressful. And on one hand, I suppose that's a good thing because you're not walking around feeling miserable. But on the other hand, the reality is that our bodies are perceiving a massive amount of stress, and that comes from a lot of places. And regaining our energy as we go through our daily life is something that we can do, but we have to constantly check in with it to be able to do that. So let me first kind of give the background, which some of you may have heard and some of you may have not. But when I'm talking about stress, I am talking about what the body perceives to be stress. And this is a very big distinction between what you as your mind perceives to be stressful and what your cells perceive to be stressful. So to kind of expand that, let's just take the example of not eating enough. Our mind may think, even things like, oh, that's so great, I managed to not eat much today. And wow, what an accomplishment. And our body perceives that as like, I'm not getting fed enough. And so I'm having to use stress hormones to keep the blood sugar balanced, to keep us running. So right there, like your mind could frame something as being a big bonus. And your cells are thinking like, that wasn't such a bonus. That was really hard on me. Or let's say, another one that is really common is, having a long work day where your mind feels like, I feel really accomplished. I got through my whole list of things to do today. I conducted 3 meetings. I had 4 telephone conferences. I did this and I did this and I did this and I did this. And so we're running at that state, like the mind is being fueled by the energy of the accomplishment, which carries a lot of, cortisol and stress hormones with it. So it feels really amplified. But the cells are like, oh my gosh, like the pace was nonstop. We never had a break. So those are some great examples to give you context how your experience of the day can vary vastly to what your cellular experience of the day was. Now, regardless, so what I find so much of the time is that people have cellular systems that are really worn out, and they need to be able to build that energy back in their body as they go through the day. Hey, Pamela. And so it is really important that we're able to do a couple things. So one is just honestly checking in. So one thing I love to encourage my clients to do is just check in and ask, well, how am I feeling about this right now? And what I find is that, especially for a lot of very accomplished women, we've become very used to focusing on the next thing on the list, like on the to-do list, because we are associating accomplishment with self. And so it's like, the more that I'm able to accomplish today, the more I feel successful as a human. And again, like I said, the cells might perceive that to be slightly different. So one thing that you can do is check in with, how am I feeling right now? Now, some of you may find that you've been in the stress state for long enough that your response is nothing, because that is actually a consequence of living under the duress of cortisol for a very long time. Or it may be hard to feel into it. Like I feel a little something, but I'm not quite sure what it is. Now, what feeling into any given situation can do for you is it can actually bring you back into the present moment and can stop projecting you into the next activity, and it can free up energy, because what your biology is waiting to hear is it's okay. Like we're not totally on task. It's not a never-ending list and litany of things we must do, because that's how you invigorate that stress response. It's also how you wear yourself out and how you disrupt your hormones. So one thing you can do is check in all the time. How am I feeling right now? What is my sense of how this is for my body right now? And then when you check in with that, instead of trying to hide from it, you can just feel it and then let it be, because this will allow you the space. Now, the thing is that these are all things that get really amplified in states of being underfed. So what'll happen is, like if you haven't fed your body enough and your cells don't have enough fuel to run, you may find that there's a perpetual state of anxiety there. And the reason for that is both emotion, but it's also biology, because your biology is running on stress hormones, which produces senses of anxiety, which then results in that being your perceived function. And so the way that you can manage your energy state is also to make sure that you're feeding yourself enough. And that means that you do need to have adequate amounts of carbohydrates, good quality proteins, and, medium to small amounts of fat, depending on how your patterns are arranged. So these are really key. And one of the things I find is that a lot of times as we go into stress state, we do one of two things. We don't eat. So we go to that route of like, I was too busy, I can't think about it, especially true for those of you who are not so into food. Or we turn just to comfort food. So someone might say, yeah, I didn't actually eat much protein that day because I had a brownie, I had a cup of coffee, I had a chocolate chip cookie later in the day, and I had an energy drink. All things that are designed to hyperstimulate your body, and they actually push really hard on your endocrine system just to give you that sense of go, when in fact your cells will be stuck totally back into that stress state. So checking in, hey, have I eaten very well today? Have I actually been paying attention to the fact that my body needs all of those things, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats? And being able then to feed your cells, which often for a lot of people, they'll find, oh my gosh, hey, my mental state improved dramatically when I just fed my cells. So that's another key thing. Now, something else you guys can do to respect that energy and to kind of try to restore it in the moment is honestly just move a little bit. So I'm not talking about going and doing some workout class. I'm literally talking about stretching and breathing and walking around the building or something like that, because you need to be able to, again, it's all about trying to tell your cells it's okay. So, because the thing is that most people have a chronic stress state. And I'm not going to lie, that's not something that gets repaired by eating a little bit better and breathing during the day. But the way that we start to make an impact on that chronic stress state in our daily life is to try to interrupt the pattern. And so if you can stop and check in with, I need to breathe, I need to stretch, I need to eat, I need to feel what I'm feeling, these things will give you back some regard. Because what I also know is that a lot of you talk about how you're so sensitive to other people's emotions. So this is another piece. So as you go through your life, you're so sensitive and you're constantly trying to guard yourself, against those people in your life, in your work. And how do I protect myself against their emotions? But the fact is that's one of those things that we keep looking at the wrong way from my perspective. I don't think you need to guard yourself against people's emotions. I think you need to get really stable within yourself, because other people are going to be in the world. That's just how it works. And there's going to be a lot of turmoil. That's also how a lot of the parts of the world work right now. But if you want to be able to hold your state, which is you're the only one responsible for your state, and you're the only one who can really truly care for yourselves, then you're going to have to take that responsibility so seriously that you also adapt a position that other people can't change your state. And that's why advocating for yourself in those ways of am I really being fed? Did I take time to stretch and breathe? Have I had enough rest? Do I need to go lay in the sun for 10 minutes? Do I need to take a nap? Do I need to pay attention to how my emotional state is in this moment? Those are the ways that you can protect that energy state, you guys. And in the process, you can tell your cells it's okay. Because again, that is what your biology's been waiting for. The root cause of every single physical and mental emotional condition that we experience as humans is wear down due to chronic stress, changing the way our mind, our emotions, and our biology work. And that precipitates every change that we ever experience. So it's the root. All those other things are on top of it. All those thyroid, adrenal issues, gut issues, breathing problems, cardiac issues, brain issues, memory issues, chronic pain, they're all more surface than that. So I want you to start to think about that root cause as the place where you put most of your focus, so that your body and your spirit can begin to coalesce into one big, beautiful experience instead of having these very separate places for them. And that's how you will start to guard your energy in a non-defensive way and actually restore yourself as you go. Because if you can learn to work on that, and this is what I do teach. So I do teach women to step by step dissect this and understand their true state, and then nourish the tissues and really feed themselves to balance out their particular patterns as they relate to stress, be able to mitigate that in the moment, and then use self techniques to be able to check in, reset, balance, and move on. But in the meantime, if you're not working with me yet, then I suggest really checking in with these things, because otherwise what's happening is you're going to be burning your candle at both ends. And eventually, you guys, there's no more candle to burn. And the funny thing about the body is that it tends to do this calibration thing where it will readjust and it'll reroute all the energy systems to try to give you what you want. So if you ignore it and ignore it and ignore it, and you do you're constantly pushing it, lots and lots of work, crazy schedules, not feeling your emotions, not sleeping, not eating enough, or eating all keto, eating all some other thing that has a name, doing the high intensity workouts, eventually, after your body's rerouted and rerouted and rerouted, it will say enough. And that tends to happen by falling off a cliff. And that always comes in the form of, now I have this condition, now I have that condition. So if you can learn now to start to recognize the root cause of everything is stress, how am I participating in that stress? What are my emotions right now? Have I eaten enough? Have I rested? Have I breathed and stretched and moved? Have I slowed myself down? Have I come into the present moment? You guys, you'll get back so much more freedom than you even realize at the moment. So that's my little lesson for today. Please just be kind to you. You only get one beautiful you. And the world needs the big magic that is you. So hiding it under, all these layers of should do, must do, and have to do is not serving anyone. And you need to be in your power to be able to show up as your best. And if you want help with that, guys, this is what I do. So set up time to talk to my team so that you can have a conversation about what this is doing in your life and the impact it's having and the ways that you could see it changing and what that means to you. What's your dream of who you're supposed to be in the world at this moment, at this time? All right, everyone, I wish you a beautiful, beautiful Friday. Thanks for joining. And you really are special. So please be kind to you.